Hey guys, how's it going? So, yesterday I talked about Charlie Kirk and what happened there, right? And so all last night I was pretty glued to social media, which I shouldn't have been. I should have been more focused on my family and my kids. I mean, I wasn't absent or anything. I was still there. I went to my kids' boxing practice, jogged home with them and spent some time with my baby, but I was still overly distracted by everything going on. So I need to make sure that that doesn't happen today. But you know, coming in today and seeing that it's just a continuation on social media and the news and of what happened yesterday. It's just that's all that you're gonna see if you're on any type of social media platform. But moreover, what you're gonna see is just so much vile hatred coming from the left, the Democrat Party, the politicians, the media, the people that support them, and it's really sad, man. It's sad. It's disgusting, but that's not the part I want to focus on. The part I want to focus on are the bots. There's a clear coordination right now by the bots that are pushing anger and anger and anger and anger and anger. These people, these individual accounts with 5 followers, with 5 views, with 5 anything, right? Who are a bunch of nobodies, just like myself. All of a sudden, their videos that they're making of them being like, "I'm glad he's dead. I'm glad he got shot. I would have done it." Those videos are being pushed to the forefront, and I don't think that's by accident. I don't think that's the algorithm. I think they're being amplified. And so I'm pretty convinced now that this wasn't just an op orchestrated by the Democrat Party. I think I'm starting to really conclude that this was an op that was organized by either a foreign government, our own government, right? It's hard to say our own government because now Trump is in charge of our CIA and whatnot, but there's always rogue elements. But I'm starting to get really strong vibes that this was conducted by foreign intelligence, another government, our own government, or some form of international corporation or NGO that receives a lot of government funding, right? All this just stinks like extreme professional. All of it, every single bit of it, it just reeks. It reeks of professional, just everywhere, right? And looking at the pictures, the diagrams of where the shot was taken, 200 yards is a long way, man. And to get him just perfect, right? Now, granted, he was aiming here, but the drop of the bullet, or maybe his sights were off a little on the elevation, so he was aiming here, so it ended here. It just reeks of extreme professional work, wet work, right? Whatever they want to call it, wet work or professional or a hitman. And the only institutions that are capable of pulling something like that off, where they have distractions, they have people who are claiming to take the hit for it, people who came to the forefront and said, "I did it," and so law enforcement got focused on them and allowed back doors for the person, the actual shooter, to escape. the guy walking around with a pellet gun, that wasn't by accident. Absolutely not. Right? So all of this was highly, highly, highly coordinated. We talk about the deep state here in America, right? We talk about it, right? I don't think I made a video about it, maybe a long time ago, but everybody in the conservative movement, the Republican movement, I think across the board, we have this understanding that there is a deep state within our own government. But what we never talk about is the possibility, and I wouldn't even say the possibility, I would say the fact that every government has a deep state in every country existing right now. Nicotine. So the reason I bring that up is I'm hearing rumblings that this might be tied to Israel, the state of Israel. And maybe that's the case, because one more time, this was a professional hit. It just, all roads lead to it. And then you see that the bots are working overtime to stir up emotions and generate anger and hate. It's pushing all the people who are extremely excited that he got killed to the front. And it keeps pushing the video to the front of him being assassinated. It keeps pushing the people celebrating. It keeps showing the people that are the most angriest. And so it's showing you the very hard left and the right, the yin and the yang. And it's pushing it really hard, guys. And the only thing that can make sense is something that I talked about a long time ago, is that they are trying to ferment a civil war between Democrats and Republicans. And that this has been the goal for a long time. They are trying to get us to start killing each other. They are trying to get us to fight amongst each other because they want to enact a state of martial law. They want to suspend rights, just as they're doing in the UK and other countries, right? Where they can implement hate speech laws, digital speech laws, where they can crack down on everything you say that they deem out of line. And right now, there's going to be calls for canceling people, shutting them down, this and that. We need to silence them. That's the exact direction that I believe these people who orchestrated this want the conversation to go. Right now, we shouldn't be calling for people to get canceled. We shouldn't be calling for people for anything, right? Right now is the time to take note of who these people are and just disassociate with them. Just, on a human-to-human level, just isolate them. Because do you really want to socialize with people who think that killing just another human being for having a disagreement, for not agreeing with you, is acceptable? I disagree with people all the time about everything, because I'm not a person where I see something and I just fall into an automatic conclusion. What I like to do is I like to get all types of information, all types of opinions, hear all types of everything. And then once I have enough, then I'm like, I think. I don't say I'm certain. I say I think. Because at no point in time can anybody be certain about anything unless we saw it with our own two eyes. I spy with my little eye. Unless we were there and we physically saw it. If we saw person A standing 2 feet from person B and he pulls out the gun, we see the gun go off and then we see head blow up, right? There's no way for us to know. Everything that we're getting is from second, third hand, fourth hand sources. So you have to take a step back and take time to receive all the information, and then process, do your best to process it with common sense. So there's reports that are coming out that Israel might be tied to this, because Charlie Kirk was now speaking out about Israel October 7th, and how he thinks that there should be an investigation into what happened October 7th. And that Charlie Kirk's crowd is so big, so loud, that it was just drawing too much attention to the state of Israel. And so this is where I get into the deep state. Israel has a Republican and a Democrat party, just the same as we do. Every country has their version of a Democrat and Republican party. You have the creatives, then you have the logicals. They will always clash, because the creatives think about what can be. They're the dreamers, right? In life, we need the dreamers to move society forward, because they're the ones that are constantly thinking about what could be, how it can be. But you need the conservatives to pull them back. Pull them back. Because we are the realists. We are the ones that see life for what it is. We are the ones that can look and be like, hey, bro, I understand what you're trying to do here, but look at what's happening. That's not working, right? So you need one to dream so big and so far that they move you forward in life with progress. But you need the conservative to reel them in with reality, with just logic. Look, my friend, that's not going to work. Why don't you try this? Because look, what you're aiming for is, it's crazy. That's how every society is going to be, from here until the end of man. And that's why there will never be a utopia in this world, ever. With humans, one creative is born, one conservative is born. And then when you get too much of one side, that's when things go crazy. That's when you end up with genocides. That's when you end up with mass enslavement, mass incarceration of people. You got to have a healthy balance of the creatives and the realists. It has to be a perfect, healthy balance. As balanced as it can be at that 50-50, because we feed off of each other. So getting back to Israel, what nobody talks about, every time people talk about Israel, we talk about it as though it's this monolith where they're all on the same page. Where the state of Israel is just a Jew. But what nobody ever brings up is that they as well have a two-party system. And then they have the people that have been entrenched in that system for 30, 40, 50 years, right? And so let's just run with the idea. Maybe Israel was involved. Okay. Which element of Israel was involved? Was it the Republican Party? Was it the Democrat Party? Or was it the deep state of Israel? The one that most people don't know about. The one that most people don't even know exists. So before we go calling and trying to make enemies, and we need to be doing this across the board. Russia has its own deep state, right? No matter how many people Putin goes and tries to kill all of them, so he has ultimate power. He still has all the oligarchs. He still has the people that have been entrenched for half a century. Every country has its own version of the deep state. China, North Korea. But what those people have in common, Putin, Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un, the Ayatollah, Maduro, is they've tried to isolate power within their own core as much as possible. In America, we don't have a dictatorship, or we're not a communist country, so it's a bit more difficult to do that. Give me a second. Sorry, guys. Just nicotine. So just getting back, man. So as I was saying, man. So you have these communist dictators, right? Authoritarians. They centralize power. Here in America, we don't do that. And so it's more difficult here in America and in other republics or democracies to eliminate the deep state. It's a lot more difficult to do kind of a cleansing, right? That's good, but it's also bad. It's good because we know that as long as we don't have a single individual who can concentrate power into their single hands, we know that there's opportunity to dispatch of that person if they ever try to go full authoritarian, right? We have the right to vote them out or remove them. In America, there's also the ability for like the cabinet to invoke the 25th Amendment. So there's a lot of options there. You can impeach somebody through Congress. We have options in a republic. When we point fingers at Israel, at Putin, at Ukraine, at Mexico, or any of these countries where they're being overtaken and their government's saying one thing but something else is happening, it doesn't mean that the government's not trying to do what they're saying. It doesn't mean that the goal isn't A, but the deep state's taking a route B. To me, that's exactly most of the time what's happening. I do think that if there's a government state involved, that there's a high likelihood that that government state was maybe unaware of it, or maybe segments or fragments of that state, like they knew about it and they colluded on it, and there was a conspiracy. And so it's really important that we segregate these fractions within all institutions, all governments, because I just see too much fingers being pointed at one state, one entity, when one more time we have seen here in America that there is no such thing as just the government. There are governments inside of governments that have been there and who actually pull the levers for, who knows, man, maybe since the beginning. Nobody knows. We can assume, we can try to take a guess, but we don't know, right? And I think, once again, you do have the government with Trump, under Reagan, under, John F. Kennedy, under other presidents who did do their best to try to eliminate the deep state and to, take that fragmentation and bring it back into the whole of the state itself. But it's so entrenched that I don't know if it's something that can be done. You see in El Salvador, they were successful, but El Salvador is a very small country. It's a very small country, man. It is nothing compared to the United States of America. China, nothing compared to the United States of America. Japan, A lot of these countries are a fraction of the size of America. A fraction. America is such a large country that even if nuclear holocaust were to happen, it wouldn't destroy the whole country. It would just destroy, certain parts of the country. Could it bring down the grids? Yeah, but only in certain parts, certain grids. We have hundreds of grids, thousands of grids, right? That run independently of each other. So what I'm getting at is it's really important to just focus on that. It's important to focus on the fact that even if the state of Israel was involved, which part? Which part do we hold accountable? Are we going to go to war with the state of Israel? Are we going to attack Israel? Or are we going to go after the deep state of Israel? And one more time, I'm not saying it was Israel. I'm just seeing rumblings on Twitter and whatnot that this seems to be part of some Mossad, operation that nobody knows about. It's just speculation because, one more time, Charlie Kirk's, in recent months was bringing up, like, hey, what really happened on October 7th? Hey, what's going on here? What's going on with Gaza? Like, it's getting a little crazy. And my opinions are what my opinions are in regards to all that. It's not our problem. I don't care what happened on October 7th in Israel. And I'm going to say this and I'm going to qualify it. I don't care what's happening in Gaza. And when I say I don't care, it doesn't mean that I don't care about people getting killed or, the country getting destroyed. Like, that's horrible. When I say I don't care, it means it's not our problem. That's a problem for the Middle East to solve. That's a problem for the European Union to solve because it's right there in their backyard. Our problem would be Canada, Mexico, because these are our neighbors, and that's going to directly interfere with us. So Americans shouldn't be involved in something that's over 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,000 miles away. It's none of our business. I don't want people to die. I don't want bad things to happen. I don't want their countries destroyed. It's sad. People being displaced. But guys, this is war. War is disgusting. War is nasty. That's why war should be avoided at all costs. What has been happening over the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years has not been war. We don't know true war. Ukraine and Russia is war. And that is a watered down war. They're going out in fields and killing each other. That's not true war. True war is they march through your country and they kill and destroy everything as much as possible until somebody says, we quit. Do you understand? That is war. That is true war. War is an abomination. And I wished that war never existed. But war will always happen. War will always exist as long as there are humans. Let me change that. War will always exist with every species on this planet. Honeybees from this hive fight honeybees from that hive. Lions from this tribe fight lions from this tribe. Like, it is just part of nature. There is no such thing as this utopia amongst lions, this utopia amongst dogs, this utopia amongst cats, or with any species alive. It does not exist. It will never exist because it is not nature. There's a reason there's a term called natural selection. It's because the strongest survive. Nature is about surviving. And in order to survive, you have to win. And then you have to install fear. You have to have people that fear you. They have to fear the consequence of what will happen if they attempt to do anything that might harm you or the people they love or that you love. That is war. War is about death, casualty, destruction, and quitting. Because war can never truly, ever be over until somebody quits and says, we're done. We're done. Please, we're done. Please, just take mercy on whoever, which, you killed off 10 million of us. There's 500,000 of us left. Take mercy on whoever's left. We will disappear. We'll go on away. You won't hear from us. You won't see us. We'll be invisible. And just let us exist, please. You can have all this. This is yours. Just let us take what's left of our family. Let us take what little bit of we can so we can buy food wherever we're going to relocate to. That is war, man. War is disgusting. There's deep states everywhere. Every country has one. I just hope that we figure this out before, if it is tied to a foreign intelligence, if it's found that it is tied to a foreign state, that we can avoid all-out war, because that's where it will go. An entire country shouldn't be blamed for the actions of a few. This is how I feel about, the Muslims. I've met a lot of Muslims in my life, man, and they are good people. Almost all of them are good people. But you have a very small percentage, 0.5%, 1%. But when you have 0.5% to 1% of 1 billion people, that's still 1 million people. You understand? And so that 1% can overtake the majority. It can. Because it'll taint. It's like black people. Most black people are just good people. They are. But then you have this small 3 to 5% of black people who just screw it up for everybody in the black community. And they give the black community this taint. They give them this stereotype, when most black people are wonderful people. Hispanics, same thing. Every race of people has that small percentage that they just taint it for everybody. They make it to where the stereotypes are correct. And the solution is not to go and wipe off an entire species, a culture from the planet. It's just to wipe out that 1 to 5% of the freaks. Those are the ones we need to be aiming at. Most Americans are just good people, man. What you're seeing online right now on the Tickety Talks, the X, on Instagram, that's not the majority of people. That's a very small percentage of freaks. And we always need to remind ourselves that these freaks exist everywhere. And we should take care of them. I'm not saying go on and kill them all, or I'm not saying none of that. But they do need to be removed from polite society. Say all the stuff you want, man. One more time. You want to talk about me? Say horrible things behind my back or across the street? Who cares? Don't care, man. There was a time where I would have crossed the street and put hands on you. That's why I can't be bald. My head's all jacked up from fighting too much. Now I just don't care. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you spat, you wetback. You're like, yeah, you're right. Like, I just don't care, right? Because I've learned that agreeing with them pisses them off even more. And I like trolling people. So I'd rather just get them even more angry, live more rent free in their minds, and do things that way, man. So that's really all I have to say, man. We're gonna find out what's going on. I believe we are going to find out, and I think we're gonna find out really fast. This isn't the same America it was 6 months ago, 7 months ago. This is a different America. We're going to find out. The people are going to be held accountable. But it's really important that we always keep in mind every government has a deep state. And that deep state is acting against the best interest of the people. That deep state is going against the people that were elected. Because that deep state wants to continue being in power no matter who's in power, left or right, Democrat or Republican. That deep state sits somewhere in the middle and they hide. And they're the ones that pull the strings. And those are the ones that we should be going after. If this comes out to be foreign intelligence, it's extremely likely it was done by deep state actors of that foreign nation and not by the Republican or Democratic Party of that nation. And to all these Democrats and liberals and progressives out there saying horrible things, the solution is not to call for censorship or try to cancel them. You just shun them. You make it to where they're not welcome anymore. And then you let it know, like, bro, I can't mess with you, bro. You're not a good person. You're welcome to say whatever you want, but you're not a good person, so you can't be around me and my kids. You can't work here because we don't want that type of craziness here. If you think it's okay to just kill random people because they have a different opinion, like, and you're celebrating it, how do we know that you're not going to do that one day, come to work and do that just because somebody disagreed with you? And so that's the solution. The solution is to shun those. And then for the extreme people who aren't just celebrating this, but are plotting behind the scenes, those are people we need to remove from polite society. Find an isolated island somewhere and dump them off, and we remove them because they don't deserve to live amongst us. Republican, Democrat, Independent, Green Party, whatever the fuck you believe, those people that are insane don't deserve to live amongst none of us, because 99% of you people, including people on my side, are good people. We just disagree. And as I said previously, we agree on everything, almost everything. Where we disagree is in the process. We agree on the solution. The solution is easy. Get rid of homelessness. Get rid of drugs. Get rid of medical debt. Health care for people. Take care of people. Immigration is good if it's controlled, right? We agree. We agree on almost everything. Where we disagree is on the process to the solution. Which solution do we take? This is the goal. We agree on that. But there are multiple paths to get there. And you have to remember, when the creatives, the Democrats, when they approach it, they are approaching it from a place of compassion. They are approaching it from a place of humanity. When the conservatives approach it, they are approaching it from a place of realism, from a place of discipline. Well, you gotta let them struggle. You gotta let them struggle. That's the only way they're gonna learn. You gotta teach them. You gotta teach them how to fend for themselves. Can't take care of them your whole life. They gotta step up at some point. You understand? The creatives and the conservatives, we complement each other. We are not enemies with each other. We are complementary to each other. We need each other. Progressives need to lead us forward. The conservatives are the ones that steer them. Hey, you're going a little wild. Let's get back on path. You understand? And I know a lot of you may not agree with me. Maybe nobody agrees with me. But if you think about it, I'm right. We need creatives. We need realists. I am a realist. I am not a creative. I would love to have some creative in me. I just don't. I'm a realist. When I see things, I see it before it happens. I'm like, ooh, we need to go. I see things before they happen because I see things play out, and I'm like, ooh, we need to remove ourselves. A creative won't do that. A creative will try to talk things out and bring peace and harmony and do all that extra shit. I ain't doing none of that. Babe, get behind me. Grab the kids, get them behind you. Follow me. And I lead them to safety. A creative, they're not doing that. They're trying to put themselves in front to try to come to some harmonious solution that works for everybody. And me being a realist, I'm like, y'all figure that out. I'm taking the people I love. We're going far away from this. You understand? We need each other. We are not each other's enemy. The problem that we have right now is we have too many people on TV using the broadcast airwaves unchecked. And I do think TV licenses need to be pulled. Say whatever you want. Social media platform, your own website, in person. Say anything you want, man. Do what Charlie Kirk does, or did. Go to a college campus and speak your heart out. And talk to people and tell them anything you want. And get judged based off of whatever comes out of your mouth. That's free speech. But the ability to brainwash people on open broadcast systems that are public utilities, you do not have the right to do that. That is not free speech. That is manipulation. When people look, especially old people, because old people are the most trusting people, when they look at that TV and they're looking at CNN, Fox, MSNBC, and anything else that's on TV, they sincerely still believe that the shit that's coming out of that TV is accurate and factual. So when you have these talking heads telling the population through these airwaves that Nazi, white supremacist, transphobe, trying to erase all trans, trying to put your ass back in chains, they fucking believe it. Because they came from a time where they were brainwashed into believing the government does not lie. The TV does not lie. I grew up in a time where we're like, these motherfuckers lying. Oh, y'all motherfuckers be lying. And so, that's all I really have to say, man. Stay friendly out there. I call on 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 new Charlie Kirks to step up. The man created the infrastructure. He's the Bill Belichick, man. He created the playbook. There's a playbook on what works. We need 100,000 new Charlie Kirks to use his playbook. But you have to be charismatic. You have to be polite. You have to be able to look at the person that you do disagree with in front of you and see a human and not an idiot. You have to see them and hear them with open ears and be able to have a back and forth with people you disagree with and try to understand where they're coming from. I've met a lot of smart people, and there's a lot of capable people out there that are able to do it. And so I'm calling on 100,000 new Charlie Kirks to go and take up the mantle. The man laid the groundwork. He created the playbook. The infrastructure is there. All you got to do is follow the playbook and follow his characteristics, follow his behaviors, and his respect. That's it. And if we keep doing that, we're going to win. When they killed Charlie Kirk, it wasn't about shutting up Charlie Kirk. It was about shutting you up. It was about doing it in public in a disgusting fashion to install fear in the conservative movement. It was about installing fear to get you to be afraid to speak out and give your own opinion and to push back. Now is not the time to be cowards. Now is the time to double down, suit up, boot up, get the fuck out, and go harder. They don't kill people unless we're winning. They just don't. Go harder. In the great words of Rambo, First Blood, stand for something or die for nothing. Thank you for your time.